Welcome to Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your AEW versus NXT video for July 15th, 2020. Let's see, we got AEW World Tag Team Champion Kenny Omega. Recently spoke with Tim Adams at this link of CBR and gave an update on the first ever AEW video game. Omega, who is also AEW Executive Vice President, noted that the video game is in a very preliminary phase, but that they're working at an incredible pace. Oh, absolutely. Right now, everything's in a preliminary phase. But like I said, I can't talk too much about it, of course, but because I really want to have something of material to show people when the time is right. And we're working at such an incredible pace right now. I think maybe we'll have something to show sooner than people would expect. Not saying anything playable, but at least something to show people. Regarding the gameplay, Omega stated that he was to recapture the fun from the classic WWF WrestleFest, WWF No Mercy, WWF WrestleMania, and Virtual Pro Wrestling video game. Those can only be found on Nintendo 64. Or you can go Fire Pro Wrestling. That game wasn't mentioned. And for me, I believe that there needs to be a sense of being in the ring. That you're controlling your favorite wrestler or controlling your creative character, Omega stated. But it's not so much a simulation where the movements are slow. I want to recapture the sort of fun factor that we used to have back in the day. Whether it be WWF WrestleFest, WWF No Mercy, WWF WrestleMania 2000, Virtual Pro Wrestling 1 and 2. I want a very simplified system that allows for pickup and playability. However, I want the moves and the structure of the game to be so crisp and the potential for it to be deep to the point where you can have a match that actually resembles something of a pro wrestling match, where the moves look the way they should, the characters move the way they should. But at the end of the day, the game needs to be fun. I want a game where I can take my favorite character and do all of his moves and decimate my opponents. But I want to be able to call over a friend that never games, and with a very simple explanation, I want him to be able to pick up a controller and be able to feel like he is in control of his movements and his destiny as well. I don't want people to take the literal words from this to assume what the game is going to be like. But one thing I appreciate is a fighting game, like Street Fighter. It's got a very difficult entry barrier to play at the top level. It's almost impossible. You can't be a dude off the street and do it. It takes a lot of practice, time, and a lot of grinding. You have to you have to be like a mathematician on the spot to calculate frames and advantages and all that. When people assume control of their favorite wrestler or their latest creation, I want them to feel like it's not difficult to do the moves they want to. I want them to feel like they can perform the way they want to perform. Go to the video link and you can see for more. I just gave you the highlights. W Hall of Famer and current AEW star Jake the Snake Roberts revealed on Instagram that he underwent successful surgery this week. Jake apparently went under the knife on Monday. He then tagged an Instagram photo from Advanced Urology in the Atlanta, Georgia area and thanked Dr. Jason Lomboy for taking care of him. Lomboy is a urologic surgeon who works out of Advanced Marietta, Georgia location. Thank you at Advanced Urology for taking superb care of at Jake the Snake DDT. Good to go. Hashtag my doc is better than your doc. Hashtag Jason Lomboy. Hashtag DDT. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. Hashtag Advanced Urology Rocks. Hashtag WWHOF. Hashtag Dirty Details Tour. Hashtag Alone Together. Jake wrote on his Instagram and can be found on that link. He also previously made a tweet on July 10th and noted that he underwent the surgery and confirmed that he will be at AEW's Fight for the following edition of Dynamite, as you will hear in the results later on in this video. Jake did not say what the surgery was, but he did write surgery on Monday, hopefully to last for a bit. And if you don't know, he is currently managing Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk, in AEW. DDP put out a video at this link on the DDP Yoga YouTube channel, where he wanted to give a personal experience on dealing with COVID-19. He also wanted to use his own experience to educate fans, as COVID-19 is a new disease and new information comes out about it all the time, which can confuse people. Despite negative results on 2 separate tests and his girlfriend Paige testing positive, DDP explains the experience of going through the symptoms of COVID-19. DDP first explained that he was in contact with a friend who had contacted the coronavirus. Paige and his girlfriend got a COVID-19 test and the results came out negative. Paige came home. Brittany had no symptoms for days, but around the second or third day, I started feeling sick, DDP explained. Then Paige was feeling sick. Well, we thought, wow, is this COVID? Because our minds are going to go right to that. DDP said that he tried to get everyone in his company tested, but was not able to find a place that could test everyone. He said that he could get a prescription for antibiotics and vitamins, but he had to contact the company that he uses for his vitamin bags to obtain the COVID-19 test. DDP said things were fine for himself and his girlfriend until their symptoms started worsening. It came down and knocked us down on our butts, as he said. But I'm being PG. He said the 3-letter word. For me, my voice got more and more raspier. I started feeling super weak. Trying to sleep was next to impossible. I felt like Big Show had a hole on my back. It was so painful. This went on for days. I was dreading going to bed because that's where I would have the most pain in my back. But Paige, she was going through something completely different than I was. I don't even think that I even got a fever over 99. Hers was up to 102.4 a bunch of different times. She's just sweating her butt off. And then one morning, when I wake up, she's out. She slept till 12 noon that day. She was like, I couldn't sleep last night at all. My body started freezing. DDP then said one of his employees, who he considers like a sister, tested positive. He also said his daughter Brittany had to not only take care of him and Paige, but also her own daughter, who recently gave birth to her and her own mother as well. He said that after 9 days, they got their test results back. His girlfriend had tested positive, but he tested negative. So he called AEW wrestler and producer QT Marshall. He talks about how Marshall had tested positive for COVID-19, but had shown very little symptoms, while his wife had shown symptoms, but tested negative for COVID-19. Marshall was then taken off of Dynamite show a few weeks back due to the COVID-19 concerns. As I told you in last week's video from this one, I called up QT, who was one of the wrestlers at AEW, because he left me a message, and I heard he had COVID. DDP called. He tells me 20 days ago he was tested. He's got COVID. He had 3 days of symptoms. Nothing after that. His wife, Caroline, she came back negative. She had one symptom after another, and she's negative. He got another test today. It says he's still positive. DDP ended his video urging fans to take care of each other by wearing a mask and social distance. He also warns people from his own experience to not think the COVID-19 pandemic has ended and urges caution as some states continue to open up or stay open despite spikes in positive cases. And some states have even said you're on your own discretion. But Paige says, please just try to take care to care about other people. DDP urged, if you don't wear a mask for you, wear it for other people. Be cautious. Do the social distancing and just be good to each other. Because we only got ourselves, so be good to each other. I myself, I hate wearing a mask, but I'm forced to. But I'm going to let you know, if I pass out or anything, I'm suing the United States government. Because those masks do prevent yourself from breathing. I'm an asthmatic, and it cuts off my breathing. You might as well give me a noose, put around my neck, and then drop the trap door underneath me. End of discussion. AEW Dark episode can be found in this link. It was played on July 14th. On AEW Fight for the Fallen, Women's Champion Hikaru Shida issued an open challenge to any competitor, including those outside of AEW, to face her in the ring. NWA's Women's Champion, Thunder Rosa, responded by writing, AEW Women's Champion, is that an open challenge? At Shida Hikaru at AEW Wrestling. AEW has announced its full lineup for next week's episode of Dynamite on TNT. Check it out. Matches advertised. Ibelis versus Diamante. MJF with Wardlow will be in action. Hangman Page versus the Dark Order's 5. Butcher and Blade versus the Young Bucks in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Jurassic Express versus Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. Cody Rhodes defends the TNT Championship match. And just to give you a brief intro to those matches, those are normally your first match of the show. The TNT Championship match with Cody Rhodes. Other news, WWE Hall of Famer Vickie Guerrero has been occasionally appearing on AEW programming for months. On tonight's episode of Fight for the Fallen, she revealed herself to be former women's champion Nyla Rose's new manager. Rose teased on last week's Fighter Fest that she was in the search for a manager after seeing the success of Brian Cage with Taz, Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson, and Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard. Several pro wrestlers have joined Cameo in the recent months. Some of the current and former WWE superstars include Roman Reigns for $500, Rey Mysterio for $250, Hall of Famer Ric Flair for $500, Hall of Famer Bret Hart only $150, SmackDown Tag Team Champion Vickie $125, Mike Rome, an announcer, only $30, Ryback, feed me more, $100, WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle, $100, Matt Hardy, $110, WWE Hall of Famer, The Godfather, $50. Pimping ain't easy. Luke Gallows, $50. Hall of Famer DDP, $90. Eric Rowan, $66. Hall of Famer Sonny, $50. Wait a minute. How can she be on Cameo? If she's supposed to be in jail. Or that. Peyton Royce, $100. Jasmine Duke, $19. There's your cheapest deal right there. Kevin Owens, $149. WWE Hall of Famer, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, $75. Dominic Dijakovic, $15. Oh, there's your deal. And WWE Hall of Famer, Jake Snake Roberts, $140. Hope he doesn't use that money for his drugs like he has been. Among others. On AEW Fight for the Fallen, former NXT star MJ Jenkins makes her debut for AEW by competing in a tag contest alongside Kenzie Page to face the Nightmare Sisters Brandy Rhodes and Allie in a losing effort. Jenkins recently said in an interview with Sportskeeda that she'd like to join AEW following her WWE release. I can't say, from what I've seen, the main place I would love to go is AEW. I can't lie. To say that I haven't been waiting would be a complete lie. I think what they're doing is amazing. All the talent that they have there. AEW Senior Advisor and Head Commentator JR announced on Fight for the Fallen broadcast that their colleagues, Tony Schiavone, didn't get his COVID-19 results back in time, so he wasn't on the show. That's why he missed the show. Schiavone would be replaced by Taz, who regularly appears on AEW Dark, as is also on-screen manager of Brian Cage. It should be noted that Schiavone was not exhibiting any symptoms of COVID-19, just had slow results on his test, so AEW pulled him just to be safe. He's still set to host the Fight for the Fallen post-show on all AEW social media platforms. And here's your results for Dynamite. All Elite Wrestling does their part for the COVID-19 relief effort in North Florida this week, as AEW LTT will feature the second annual Fight for the Fallen special at Daly's Place Amphitheater in Jacksonville, Florida. On tap for the show is World Heavyweight Championship match main event with current champion Jon Moxley defending his title against the Machine Brian Cage. The TNT Championship Open Challenge with American Nightmare. Cody defending his title against Sonny Kiss. FTR versus the Lucha Brothers in a tag team action. And don't forget to order your AEW Fight for the Fallen t-shirt, with the proceeds joining a special donation drive led by AEW to benefit Florida's First Coast Relief Fund and feeding Northeast Florida in an effort to contribute to the COVID-19 relief situation in the area. For more info on that and the t-shirt, go to AEWFightForTheFallen.com. On last night's AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen, it was announced Ivory Elite is scheduled to take on Diamante on next week's show. Despite their upcoming match, the two were actually in the crowd on the show later on. And they all lose their minds, Ivory Elite wrote. We're here, Diamante responded. This is Ivory Elite's first appearance in AEW since she showed up for the Casino Battle Royal at last year's All Out, the buy-in. The match was won by Nyla Rose. In April of last year, Ivory Elite had a trial with JBB. I guess it's Ivelisse, because there was an Ivelisse in WWE. You know, with blonde hair or what have you. I was getting both of the girls crisscross, whatever. Obviously, WWE didn't bring her into the fold. She had nothing but good things to say about the tryout in an interview from last October with the Women's Wrestling Weekly. It was awesome. It brought me a little back to toughen up because, boy, they want to definitely push you to your limit, and it was great experience to in a sense. I really said it's all about teamwork. It is not just in-ring stuff. I really liked and enjoyed how they focus on wanting to see people have a good attitude and a team player with other people. This was really a cool experience, and particularly the group we had was a very, very elite, stacked particular group. Though the whole competition thing was there for sure, but not to the point that where you would feel uncomfortable or anything like that. We were all very supportive of each other throughout the experience. Former Ring of Honor and WWE star ACH will be making his Game Changer Wrestling debut on July 25th at GCW Homecoming. The promotion made the announcement on Twitter. GCW, at this link, ACH makes his GCW debut on July 25th at GCW Homecoming. Plus, Gage Schlack, RSP, Homicide, Cologne, AJ, Blake Zane, Effie, Webb, Dixon, Mance. Watch live on Fight at Fight TV. You also go to that link for more info. ACH was released from WWE last year in November. Before his release, ACH had issues over a t-shirt design that he felt was racist. During his NXT career, he won the NXT Breakout Tournament and even challenged NXT champion Adam Cole 2 months before his WWE release. Game Changer Wrestling Homecoming is a 2-day event on July 25th and 26th. The event will be at the Garden Pier on the Atlantic City Boardwalk. Masks are required and social distancing will be in effect and enforced as necessary. Fight for the following results. After signature video, we shoot live from inside the Daily's place in Jacksonville, Florida. Power goes off. JR welcomes us to the fight for the following 2020. Taz replaces Tony Schiavone in commentary. JR informs us that Taz is here in place of Schiavone, who is still waiting on his COVID-19 results. He and Taz, as well as Excalibur, start talking as the American Nightmare Cody's music hits. And your match is up first, as I've already told you. And it's Cody versus Sonny Kiss. Out comes reigning TNG champion alongside his manager, Arn Anderson, the coach. They head to the ring as this week's Open Challenge kicks off the second annual Fight for the Apollo charity event from the All Elite Wrestling. As the two await in the ring, Sonny Kiss makes his way out, along with some background dancers, does an incredibly prolonged dance routine for his special, elaborate entrance. With both men in the ring, Justin Roberts, the other JR, does the formal pre-match introductions for this championship contest. Here we go with our first match of the night. The bell sounds and Cody sprints across the ring and decks Kiss with a big boot to the grill. He tries to cover him, but Kiss kicks out at 2. Cody continues his vicious early onslaught on the challenger, seemingly looking to put him away early before he gets a chance to build any momentum. Cody goes for a disaster kick. Kiss turns the tables with a big forearm. Chad talks about the powerful legs of Kiss. Kiss cartwheels across the ring, right into a full Nelson from the champ. Bobby Lashley style. We see multiple times throughout the match that Tully Blanchard is in the stands watching and scouting someone, with the announcer speculating as to who that is. Kiss goes on, extended offensive run, and that sees him go for his X and O's finisher. However, Cody eventually took over and hit many high spots, including a big superplex off the top rope for multiple near falls. When all was said and done, American Nightmare hits Kiss with a crossroads finisher for the win. After the match, American Nightmare theme plays as he celebrates his hard-fought victory in his latest Open Challenge for the TNT Championship. He and Sonny Kiss share a moment and a couple of moments that we are not privileged to as spectators. Great opening match from these two to kick off the show. Basically a respectful handshake. Winner still champion Cody. On tap for the rest of the night, we shoot on to an on-camera spot featuring the 3-man announced team for AEW Fight for the Fallen. JR, Taz, and Excalibur run down the matches advertised for this special. They also inform us that we will hear from the Le Champion, Chris Jericho, who has something big to say. And he will also be joining them at the announced desk for commentary in hour 2 of the show. As a human suplex machine, Taz helps his FTW champion, the Machine, Brian Cage, get ready for his AEW World Championship match in your main event against Jon Moxley. Lucha Brothers versus FTR, your next match. From there, we head back to the ring for our second match of the night, which is the second of the 3 big matches profiled in the Road to Fight for the Fallen special that aired to promote the special. A tag team action is up next. Lucha Brothers, Ray Phoenix, and Pentagon Jr. make their way down to the ring in Daily's face. Out next comes their challengers and their opponents, FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Fowler. Formerly known as Revival. The bell sounds, and here we go. Fairly early on, we see Wheeler getting some good offense on Pentagon Jr. before tagging Hardwood in. The two continue to utilize the quick back and forth tags to keep the freshmen in the ring at all times. In classic trademark, old school tag team wrestling style, it's working so far as well. Excalibur points out that once again, we have an interesting observer as Tully Blanchard is once again watching on. The announcers speculate that Blanchard is scouting FTR this time. From there, we head to a mid-match picture-in-picture commercial break as the action continues in the ring. We return from the break with FTR still in control of the match. As Hardwood is taking it to Phoenix, Phoenix fires up for a comeback, blasting Dax with some chops that actually drew a small bit of blood from the chest of the FTR member. Hard work tags in Wheeler, and Phoenix finally makes the tag to Pentagon Jr. Lucha Brothers hit some double team spots as proceeded Butcher the Blade, watching on with vested interest from the front row. Lucha Brothers look for the spike pile driver off the top rope, double team high spot. However, FTR manages to avoid it and are firing up on offense. And to get in some big double team moves for a few near falls, eliciting a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd. For those in attendance, a few front rows in the audience, and now we all see four men in the ring at the same time, tornado style. Lucha Brothers and FTR charge at each other, and bodies are flying everywhere. Wheeler and Pentagon Jr. fight outside the ropes on the ring apron. We see two exchange chops, and then each other go for a brainbuster. However, things accumulate, with Wheeler hitting a top suicide into a DDT on Pentagon on the floor. Hardwood and Phoenix into the picture. Now as the battle continues on the off the rails. Seconds later, out of nowhere, Hardwood yanks Phoenix's mask off, and when he drops down to get it and keeps his face covered, Hardwood gets the pin for the win. Winner of the match, FTR. After the match, FTR returned to the disrespectful favor and to the daily. After the match, we see Butcher and Blade taunting FTR until the Young Bucks sneak up behind them and taking them out with double super kicks. They also reveal that they are holding the key to the FTR truck. Now we see Kenny Omega coming out with a beer cooler. All three enter the ring to join FTR. Matt Jackson offers the keys back to Dax Hardwood, and Kenny Omega hands Cash Wheeler the beer cooler. It goes to toast and brew with FTR, but the two quickly instead pour their beers on Omega's head, choosing to show a sign of disrespect instead of the peace offering that was intended, returning the favor, as the announcers point out. The Young Bucks hold an enraged Omega back from attacking FTR until finally Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler take their return car keys and head out to receive their trademark vehicle. They enter the car, but it seems like they're having trouble getting it to start up. We had a commercial break on the note. Le Champion and the Inner Circle drowned in orange juice segment. Familiar sounds of Fozzy plays as Mongoose McQueen's biggest fan and looked like Le Champion himself. Chris Jericho makes his way out, accompanied by members of the Inner Circle, with one godlike Latino missing from the scene for obvious reason, his suspension. Inner Circle enters ring as the announcers point out that Taz has left commentary desk to get his machine, Brian Cage, ready for his championship match in the main event. From there, Jericho begins his promo after explaining ratings to the fans and how key demo works. 18 to 49, that's his key demo. But it's not just that, it's all ages, Jericho. And somebody else used to say, Jericho. He talks about defeating Orange Cassidy in last week's AEW Fight Fest Night 2 main event. He ends up taking one drink of a big jug of orange juice for the win and pours another sip out for the death of the career of the freshly squeezed one. Jericho says Cassidy will never get a rematch. With that said, Orange Cassidy's theme music hits, and out he comes in the jean jacket wearing member, often seen alongside the best friends. Jericho talks about a bunch of trash to Cassidy and gets more and more angry as he stands there with his hands in his pocket, not reaching at all. He finally raises his hand up with a thumbs up sign. Jericho loses his cool, but mocks Cassidy for raising his little thumb. Most of the crowd in the thing, and the crowd said, big mistake. $1,000 jacket worn by the champion gets ruined as tons of orange juice pours down from the ceiling, drowning the Inner Circle in its citrusy deliciousness as the fans go nuts with the enjoyment as the misfortune of Le Champion and the Inner Circle. Jericho shouts for someone to give him a towel, and we head to a commercial break. Alex Marvez interviews Jurassic Express, Chris Jericho joined commentary. We return from the break with JR telling us that Jericho will be joining them on commentary for the rest of the 2-hour show. And he says Jurassic Express is up next in a 6-man tag match. From there, we shoot to a quick pre-match backstage interview with Alex Marvez talking to Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt, and Luchasaurus. Back live, we see a still irate Jericho joining JR and Excalibur at commentary desk, where he finishes his trademark heel hissy fit. We watch highlights of Jericho's getting doused in orange juice before we go to a break. He complains about being sticky all over the place because of it. He says things are not over between him and Orange Cassidy. He promises that there will be a rematch, despite what he said earlier. Cassidy apparently achieved his goal. And your matchup is Jurassic Express versus the Elite. Now the team of Jurassic Express plays as Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt, and Luchasaurus make their way down to the ring together. From there, the team of the Elite plays as Kenny Omega comes out with Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks. 6-man tag action is now here. And AEW Fight for the Fallen as the bell sounds to get our next match underway. Nick Jackson and Jungle Boy will be kicking things off with their respective teams. The champion begrudgingly puts over the athletic ability of Nick as the action gets underway. Jericho Cell off and on his citrus-inspired temper tantrum in hilarious fashion, as you would expect from entertaining leader of the Inner Circle. Stunt tags in now, as does Kenny Omega, who keeps his blue t-shirt on while he wrestles. Stunt is actually getting the better of Omega here in the early goings. His B-rate attitude reminds me of when they were live here in Shreveport Bossier area doing their WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble matchups. Rock Jericho. Omega shows a sign of disbelief with his facial reaction and the look on his face, look in his eyes after Stunt's offensive series of moves. The champion speculates that Omega wasn't taking Stunt seriously, and that's why he kept the blue t-shirt on. He's right, as Omega rips it off angrily and goes to work on Stunt. Stunt fires back and tags in Luchasaurus after Omega tag out as well. Now we get bodies flying everywhere now as the high spots are happening everywhere. You look, with Stunt hitting both Young Bucks members with big kicks from the ring apron. Luchasaurus blows a snapjacket suplex from Omega. Omega ends up decking him with a drop kick anyways. Omega hits it over the top, flip onto all three opponents before JR takes us to a mid-match picture-in-picture break. I'm covered in orange juice. We hear Jericho say again right before a Papa John's pizza commercial airs. We're back from the break and we see the Young Bucks and Jungle Boy back battling it out in the ring. Jungle Boy hits a head scissor takedown out to the floor from the ring apron, followed by another big spot off the top rope in the ring. Nick Jackson and Luchasaurus each tag in now as fresh men enter the match. Luchasaurus is taking out any and everything that moves, flattening both Bucks repeatedly before hitting a chokeslam and standing flip onto Jackson for a near fall that Omega breaks up just in time. Now as the match continues, we see FTR joining Hangman Page for a drink at a bar somewhere, presumably inside Daly's place. Meanwhile, we return to see Omega blast Luchasaurus with a running V-trigger that doesn't even take the big man off his feet. He then hits a snapjacket suplex on the monster of Jurassic Express. He then follows up with a snapjacket suplex on Stunt and Jungle Boy for a good measure. Luchasaurus goes for the spinning tail whip kick, but misses. He eats a double super kick from the Young Bucks and then is blasted with a Tiger Driver 98, which Jericho insults for having a stupid name. We see another crazy spot with Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt hitting a wicked back-to-back top rope high spot for a near fall. Jericho points out that those two are such a great team. JR says he'd love to see how Luchasaurus goes as a singles competitor. We see a crazy stacked tower spot in the middle of the ropes. A big destroyer off the Luchasaurus, shoulders on the ropes. Jericho says he's never seen that before, and you'll only see something like that in AEW. Wrong. JR comments about how dangerous that was. Omega, meanwhile, is firing up now on offense as the finish in this one feels near. He blasts his stars with a V-trigger, and then another. He grabs Marco Stunt and hoists him up for the one-winged angel. Stunt escapes, but ends up getting blasted with a V-trigger and one-winged angel from Omega for the pinfall win. After the match, Omega snaps. As soon as the bell sounds, we hear Jericho remark, "That was a great match." The Elite's music plays. Omega loses his control momentarily and punches away at his already beaten foes. The Elite's music stops playing, and the Young Bucks try to calm Omega down. Jericho complains on commentary about the Bucks being little babies. He says there's no rules in wrestling. Alex Marvez interviews Hikaru Shida. Backstage, we see Alex Marvez standing with AEW World Champion, Women's Champion, Shida. He points out that the top 4 ranked contenders in the AEW Women's Singles Division are all unable to compete for one reason or another right now. Shida then puts out somewhat of a call to arms challenge to find an opponent to defend her title. After the quick segment, we head to commercial break. And we get Jon Moxley has a message for Taz and Brian Cage. As we get ready for your main event, for Fight for the Fallen, we go to a quick pre-match promo from AEW Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley. He talks about getting to finally return to do what he loves doing most tonight, and that's fight. He then reveals to Taz that he's well aware of his technique, talk breakdown, and how he claims he won't be able to hit his paradigm shift finisher on Cage because the machine is too big. He says he won't even bother trying then. Instead, he vows to snap the FTW champion arm in two. He says that one just surgically repaired recently. The same one that had Cage out of action for over 5 months when he was in Impact Wrestling. Nightmare Sisters versus MJ Jiggins and Kenzie Page. We head down the ringside where the Nightmare Sisters make their way down the ring for tonight's 4th match as a duo. The undefeated duo is up in the tag team action as AEW Tag Team Division is up next. Already in the ring are their opponents for tonight, MJ Jiggins and Kenzie Page. The bell sounds, and here we go with our next bout of the evening. The final match before tonight's big main event. Immediately, Brandy Rhodes jumps off to the early offensive lead. Taking it to Page. Finally, Page makes the tag to MJ Jiggins. Jiggins doesn't have any better of an outing, with Allie beating her down and the Nightmare Sisters picking up a quick win in what was essentially a squash showcase match for their undefeated new team. Dustin Rhodes joins them to celebrate as we head to another commercial break. Winners of the match, Nightmare Sisters. Excuse me, segment. Now the Rose has a big announcement. You get it? Excuse me, Vickie Guerrero. We return from a commercial break, and JR immediately sends it over to Josh Gonzalez, formerly known as Josh Fuentes, from WB, who introduces former AEW World Champion Nyla Rose. Rose's music plays, and out she comes as we see Dr. Britt Baker, busted nose and all watching on. Rose joins Dasha in the ring. Dasha asks Nyla who her manager is after teasing the big news last week. Rose says she's not going to tell her or any of us watching anything. She says she doesn't need to because she's going to let them say it for themselves. We hear some hip-hop sounding mix of Vickie Guerrero screaming, "Excuse me." Out she comes to the ring with a microphone, yelling, "Excuse me," in her annoying, screeching voice. Dasha asks Vickie what she's doing here. She tells the AEW women's locker room that Nyla Rose is going to take everything that they worked for and make it hers. She laughs like a psycho as her cool music plays again to end excitement. And your main event. Brian Cage versus Jon Moxley, your main event. After running down the matches scheduled for AEW next Wednesday, we hear the theme song with the Machine Brian Cage, the man who holds the FTW Championship title belt, comes out accompanied by Human Suplex Machine Taz. As tonight's main event is up. As he enters the ring, Excalibur points out on commentary that although Cage has Taz's old FTW Championship, it's not a title recognized by All Elite Wrestling, and thus That is why Justin Roberts did not include a reference to it in his introduction of Cage as he walked to the ring. Seconds later, Justin Roberts announced him as the FTW champion after being intimidated into doing so by Cage and Taz in the ring. We then cut to commercial break. AEW Fight for the Fallen main event is up next. Return to the front of the break, and Taz is still on the microphone again. He talks about Moxley being on the shelf for weeks while Cage has been training and kicking butt while keeping busy, waiting for the title shot he earned back at AEW Double or Nothing 2020. He says it's enough. He tells Moxley to finally show himself and come out to the ring. He says for him to bring his pretty little title with him. Moxley's music plays, and the champion makes his way to the ring through the mostly empty rafters inside Daly's Place amphitheater. As soon as he enters the ring, while his music is still playing, Moxley is attacked by Cage, who, like a cage animal, is finally let loose. He goes to work on Moxley, using his size and strength advantage early on to ragdoll the champion. Moxley tries to go to work on surgically repaired arm of Cage, as he vowed to do earlier in the evening. However, Cage is too powerful here in the early moments going on in this match, as he easily reverses the attempt. Cage hits some big slams and suplexes, but Moxley does slow down the machine and does, in fact, go to work on the arm. As promised, he goes for the cross-arm breaker on the ground, but Cage avoids it. Now Cage blasts Mox with some big punches before folding the champ in half with a huge suplex. He plugs a secret hashtag during the upcoming picture-in-picture commercial break. Of course, that's your contest. Cage is knocked out on the floor. As Taz goes to give him some advice, Moxley comes flying through the ropes, crashing onto the FTW champion. Cage quickly turns the tables and is smashing Mox head first into the steel barricade. The referee is following the two around, watching all of this, which is the announcers quickly over-explain why that didn't result in a DQ for some reason. Moxley grabs a steel chair now and takes a big piece of the guardrail and leaves it against the ring. Mox goes for the move, but Cage reverses it into a big suplex on Mox, with the champ crashing on the steel ring barricade with authority. JR then immediately kicks into a mid-match break. And we're back, and we see Mox and Cage still duking it out in the ring. The announcers bring it up to speed on what happened during the break, which was essentially more the same until Mox started fighting his way back into the bout. And we now see Mox has a steel chair that he grabbed earlier outside the ring. He unfolds it and sets it up before grabbing hold of Cage with bad intentions. The machine, however, reverses and hits a release suplex on Mox, with the AEW champion crashing hard on the steel chair for a vicious landing. The action resumes inside the ring, where eventually Mox fights back into the contest and blasts Cage with a paradigm shift. Cage manages to avoid the 3 count. Now Mox has Cage in armbar type of submission on the surgically repaired biceps of the FTW champion. Cage eventually fights out and starts dominating Mox with big slams and suplexes. Regardless, Mox fires up again and offense again, locks Cage in an armbar. This time he's got fully locked in, which the announcers point out. We hear Taz trying to talk Cage through the techniques of how to escape. Mox, meanwhile, has his tongue out and is mocking Taz while Cage is unable to escape, and things just seeming to get worse and worse for his previously torn bicep. Ultimately, Taz throws in his famous orange towel, and by throwing in the towel, of course, that stops the match, and thus Moxley retains his AEW championship to end the show. But it did not end there at that point. After the match, Darby Allin returns. When the match ends, Taz enters the ring to check on Cage. Cage gets up and takes his FTW championship and blasts Moxley with it for a cheap shot move. Then the lights go out. When they come back out, we see Darby Allin at ringside. He blasts Cage with his skateboard and beats him down until he and Taz retreat up the ramp while Allin's music plays. He and Mox talk in the ring while Cage goes nuts. He is being restrained by a ton of AEW officials as the announcers discuss what just happened, what just transpired. Jericho closes the show once again, yelling out, "I'm covered in orange juice." Jericho replies, "You stink." And that's it for AEW Fight for the Fallen. And they have the post-show link and this link. NXT results. Following matches segments have been announced for tonight. Keith Lee ushers the NXT Universe into a limitless era as dual champion. Cameron Grimes versus Damon Priest was advertised. NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai defends against Tegan Nox. Commentators Mauro Ranallo, Beth Phoenix, and Tom Phillips are your announcers. Alicia Taylor announces for the new dual champion, Keith Lee, to make his entrance down to the ring. Keith Lee grabs a microphone. Before he speaks, the audience chants, "Bask in his glory." Lee says that their chants are beautiful, but he wants to hear Alicia Taylor say his name one more time. Now, he begins his speech. Lee admits that things have been very hard lately, but he wants to look on the bright side. He is now the dual champion. He wants to highlight the fact that he knows he's got a lot of competitors just eyeing their chance at his titles. He says that there were a lot of people who motivated him to win these titles. One of those people happened to be his former trainer, Tim Brooks, who recently has passed away. He also thanks the WWE Universe for basking in his glory. Next, he calls out his frenemy, Dominic Dijakovic. Dijakovic music hits, and he makes his way to the ring. Lee says he wants to share this moment with Dijakovic. He says that he had a talk with General Manager William Regal. He says that he wants to defend the championship against Dijakovic. Lee wants to have his match tonight. The audience starts to cheer. Dijakovic accepts Lee's challenge. After, we see Tegan Nox heading to a Full Sail University for her match against Io Shirai. But up next, Cameron Grimes has to face Damon Priest. Back for the commercial break. Grimes Priest match is underway. Priest goes for an explosive victory before the bell rings, but with Muay knee strikes, the bell rings. Priest catches Cameron Grimes with a spinning back kick. Grimes turns the tables with a hard shot right towards Priest's chin. Grimes goes for the cover. Priest kicks out. Grimes corners Priest. Grimes slams himself into Priest's midsection. Priest kicks out of another pin. We go to picture-in-picture. Commercial break. Picture-in-picture. Grimes is hanging on the apron and landing a strong kick on Priest, who's on the outside. Back in the ring now. Grimes has Priest's arm trapped. Priest is up, but Grimes throws him down on the mat again with another hold. Both men are tangled on the ropes. Grimes smooshes Priest's face with his boot. Priest is getting fired up after Grimes lands a shot after a shot. Back to full screen. Priest turns Grimes inside out. Grimes clotheslines Priest over the top rope. Then baseball sides out. Priest catches him, but Grimes steps away. Priest has Grimes in the crucifix position. He sends him back first into the apron. Grimes rolls Priest up for the pin. But Priest gets his shoulder up just in time. Priest comes through with a flatliner. Grimes counters Priest with a small package. Priest kicks out. Grimes goes for another pin after slamming himself into Priest's ribs. Priest kicks out again. Priest throws a few forearms. Then Cyclone kicks Grimes. Priest delivers the reckoning and picks up the win. After we see Io Shirai heading to Full Sail University, following that, we get some technical pointers from Timothy Thatcher. Back for the break, Taylor announces the second match of the night. Shotzi Blackheart versus Indy Hartwell. The bell rings. Shotzi Blackheart wraps herself around Indy Hartwell with a waist lock. Hartwell goes for a standing switch. Blackheart twists Hartwell up, then flies off to the top rope, sending Hartwell to the middle turnbuckle. Hartwell comes through with a kick to Blackheart's back. Blackheart falls to the outside. She's back in the ring. Hartwell goes for a lateral press cover. Blackwell kicks out too. She goes for another cover. Blackheart kicks out again. Hartwell connects a side slam, then stretches Blackheart out. Blackheart rises to her feet, she finds her defense with a sling blade, followed by a switchblade kick. Blackheart gets a senton in. Robert Stone, who is wearing a boot, storms down the ramp and distracts the referee. Hartwell sends Blackheart down with a DDT. While the referee is distracted, Alia climbs up on the apron and pushes Blackheart off the top rope. Blackheart goes crashing Hartwell capitalizes with a big kick and a win. Winner of the match, Hartwell. After break, Legado del Fantasma will make an appearance. Mackenzie Mitchell interviews Tegan Knox before the big match tonight. She says that tonight is her night to become new women's champion. Next, we see Legado del Fantasma sitting around having some drinks. They toast to their victory from last week. They discuss Breezango's antics last week and their disrespect towards Lucha Libre culture. Their newfound goal is to create an empire. After we see another highlight video from Lee's historic win last week, we come back. Lee will defend his championship against Ikoji. And that match is up next. Bell rings and fans clapping and stomping. Both men test the straight as the match begins. Ikoji backs up towards the corner. Referee calls for the rope break. They restart. Ikoji and Lee lock up. They both hit the ropes again. Another restart happens. Lee steps over to Ikoji and breaks the grip. Ikoji goes for the cover. Lee jumps out of it for a 1 count. Ikoji makes a rookie mistake as he sticks his hand out to Lee, who pulls him towards with a side headlock. Ikoji reverses the hold to a headlock of his own. Ikoji runs the ropes and can't move Lee with his shoulder tackle. Ikoji still has his hand out again, but this time he chops Lee in the chest. Lee chops Ikoji back so hard that he falls down. Lee heads up to the top. Ikoji picks him up and has him in the fireman's carry. Lee escapes. Back to the break, we see Ikoji having his arm wrapped around Lee's neck. Lee separates Ikoji's grip. Lee sends Ikoji flying to the outside with a pounce. Lee runs towards Ikoji, who is sitting by the barricade. Ikoji moves out of the way this time, in time. Both men make their way back in the ring. Ikoji is up first. He is sizing up his opportunity, but he misses as Lee swings Ikoji off the middle rope. Lee hits Ikoji on the top rope. Lee is up on the middle rope. Ikoji keeps headbutting Lee. Lee gets knocked off the ropes. Ikoji connects with a blockbuster from the top rope. He goes for a lateral press, cover on Lee. He kicks out at 2. Ikoji lands a thunderous pump kick on Lee, then goes for another pin. Lee kicks out again. Lee hoists Ikoji up for the Big Bang catastrophe. Ikoji is knocked out cold. Lee wins and retains his championship. After the match, Lee helps Ikoji up. They both hook it out. All of a sudden, lights go out, and a spotlight shines over Scarlett. She places a message for Lee from carrying across before walking back up the ramp. We come back. Timmy Thatcher will be in action. Before Thatcher's match, we see Io Shirai warming up for her match later on. As Mackenzie Mitchell is interviewing Ikoji, carrying across comes from behind. The two men begin to brawl. Timmy Thatcher versus Denzel Desjardins. The bell rings. Timmy Thatcher tries to get Desjardins into a Fujiwara armbar, but Desjardins rolls out in time. He tries to go for a standing switch. Thatcher catches him. Desjardins rolls through with a sleeper hold. Desjardins tries to break Thatcher's grip with a few kicks, but it doesn't do much. Thatcher locks Desjardins up in a single leg box crab and taps out. After the match, Thatcher continues his attack on Desjardins. Lorcan runs out, sends Thatcher out of the ring. Up next, Io Shirai defends her championship against Tegan Knox. Earlier in the day, Robert Stone apologized to Killian Dane. He blames his coffee spilling on Chomsky Blackheart. Arya finds a poster that Dexter Loomis made in regards to Stone getting his leg run over by Blackheart's tank. Dane tells Stone that he wants a match with him, with Loomis. Dane's wish is granted. He'll face Loomis next week. Also announced for next week's episode, Dominic Dijakovic versus Karrion Kross with Scarlett. And now your main event, Io Shirai versus Tegan Knox. The women don't wait for Taylor to finish the announcement before the match gets started. Both women lock up as the bell rings. Knox comes through with a beautiful bridge. Io Shirai counters it into a side headlock takeover. Knocks the shoulders down, but she kicks out at 2. Knox rolls through, puts Shirai into a headlock of her own. Both women are back on their feet. Knox throws Shirai over with 2 arm drags. Shirai has Knox cornered. She keeps kicking her down. Knox reverses out of the corner, and now Shirai is cornered. Shirai escapes, then smashes Nox's face into the apron before a commercial break. Back from the break, Shirai taunts Nox. She keeps telling Nox to hit her. Nox fires a few shots, then an uppercut. Shirai goes for a crossbody. Nox counters it with a bridge. Shirai crashes into Nox with a double knee drop. Nox rolls Shirai up for the pin. Shirai gets her shoulder up at 1. Shirai misses an elbow drop. Nox puts Shirai in the Oklahoma roll. Shirai escapes out on 2. Nox throws down a few midsection shots. Shirai grabs a hold of Nox's hair and slams her down on the mat. Shirai with another double knee counter. It doesn't keep Nox down for long. She rises to her feet, but gets put down again with a flapjack slam. We go to picture-in-picture. Nox is gripping her right knee. Both women trade forearm shots before Shirai puts Nox in the front face lock. Shirai rolls over and keeps her hold on Nox. Back to full screen, Shirai is throwing a few back shots on Nox. Shirai sends Nox back first and still steps. Shirai follows up with a follow-up is derailed as Nox moves away from the steel stairs in time. Shirai transitions her move, set into a tiger driver backbreaker combination. Nox delivers a European uppercut before landing a cannonball on Shirai in the corner. Nox covers Shirai, kicks out. Nox chops Shirai twice, then sends her down with 2 clotheslines. Nox is up on the top rope and dives on top of Shirai with a crossbody. Nox passes a choke slam, then goes for another cover. Shirai kicks out. Nox crashes into Shirai with 2 European uppercuts. Shirai counters by sending Nox into turnbuckles with a German suplex. Shirai keeps her offense going with a missile dropkick. Shirai goes for the cover. Nox kicks out. Shirai looks for another tiger driver. Nox counters by sending Shirai face first into the mat. Nox runs in for the Shining Wizard. Shirai counters with a palm strike. Shirai heads up to connect with a moonsault. Shirai goes for the final cover and returns her title. The show ends with Dakota Kai kicking Shirai right in the face as she comes down. That concludes this week's episode. Thanks for watching. AEW Dynamite ended the 3-week win streak of WWE NXT in total viewership. AEW was fighting for the following episode of Dynamite scored 788,000 viewers, 10% up from last week, topping 631,000 viewers, 17% down, garnered by NXT on the USA Network by 25%. According to Showbuzz Daily, in terms of total viewers, it was the second best number that AEW Dynamite has drawn since April, behind only 827,000 viewers for the May 27th post-Double or Nothing episode, which featured an appearance by Mike Tyson. For NXT, it was their lowest number since the May 13th episode, and well below the 730,000 viewers that they averaged in June. AEW also dominated the night in 18-49 graphic. Dynamite scored 0.29 rating in that demo, up 3.6%, beating the 0.14 rating that NXT drew, down 30% in the same demo by whopping 10%, 107%. It was the largest gap in the demo since March 25th episode of Dynamite, ranked number 5 in the demo for Night, while NXT came in at number 49 in that same demo. Dynamite was tied with 2 other episodes for the second best rating, behind May 27th episode, which did a 0.32 rating for the show since April. For NXT, it was their second worst number of the year in the demo, beating only the May 20th episode that scored 0.13 rating. AEW once again, all won demos except for above 50 age. MTV's challenge topped the night in the 18-49 demographic on the cable top 150 with a 0.56 rating with 977,000 total viewers. Hannity on Fox News topped the night on cable and total viewership with a 3.734 million viewers, ranking number 4 on the top cable 150 with a 0.31 rating in that key demo. Thanks again for watching my video this week. Peace out. See you on video. If you don't know, just comment, brothers and sisters.